Hello, I'm Jerry Littner, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with our first selectman, Lisa Heavner, and get brought up to date on the state of the town. Queen of Simsbury!
How are you,
How
Jerry?
goes the realm?
Everything, the state of the town is strong, Jerry.
Yes. Oh, so it's not, we don't need to change a lot then. We don't need to make Simsbury better. We don't need to unite Simsbury. No?
We're actually in good shape. We just went through our snow preparations. I actually just met with Tom Roy, went down to the Public Works building and facilities and got a
Help
tour.
shovel them out?
Yeah, no, they showed me all their trucks. They're in good working order. Salt supply is in, so we're actually ready to go.
Now, do you ever test drive one of them?
They asked me to, and I refused.
Why?
Because these are monstrous trucks.
I know they are really big, though. But people can ride along, right? If they
You
ask.
can, and I have. Have you done that?
No, because we've had this conversation before. I'm on a corner lot. They attack my plantings because my corner is designated as a snow pile area.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I accept that.
That's very
And-
good
oh,
of you.
wait, guys. If your plants get dug up by the snowplow, you know what you can plant? Portulaca. Because then when it blooms, it throws seeds everywhere. And when the snowplow piles snow on top of it, then when it melts and it looks like it's bare ground, by early summer, you have constantly blooming portulaca.
Actually, that's very good advice. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, you're welcome. You make it sound like that's an exception, like that's very good advice. Well, not that I've ever advised you, but I do understand we had a record success for a recent celebration. Maybe you want to mention that.
We did. So thank you to everyone who helped organize and run Simsbury Celebrates, because they had record turnout. 14 to 15,000 people attended, which we believe is record-setting. So we're very excited that it went so well and that so many people were able to enjoy it.
Okay, well, good. Now we get down to work. Already
Yeah.
approaching budget time, right?
It is, yeah.
How do things look?
Well, so there's a couple things going on that our residents should know about. First of all, the first is we want to hear from our residents about what's important.
Okay.
Not yet. Not yet from you. But there are a couple unique, every year is challenging, right? Because we, at the Board of Selectmen, looks at must-spends. What do we need to spend? What should we spend in terms of investments? And
Yeah, and
then
the end of the trade laws, our exports from the farms will be cut way back. Oh,
and then what do we want to spend? So must spend, should spends, and want to spends. But this year we've got a couple of unique challenges.
I like that. Should spends and wanna spends.
Yeah, how about that?
I like that. That's great.
Well, that's all about priority setting and how do we decide to spend the taxpayers' dollars in the best possible way for them.
Spend or not spend.
Or
right,
not spend
yeah.
or save. We do spend a tremendous amount of time looking for cost savings, absolutely. But this year is going to be a little unique because we are losing the revenue from the Hartford. The Hartford building was demolished, as you know, so that's a net loss in revenue to the town of about $900,000. But the good news is that the town has been planning for this for many years, and the Board of Finance, working with the Director of Finance, has set aside reserves to help cushion the tax impact of that.
And within 2 years.
Within 2 to 3 to 5 years, we expect to make that revenue back and exceed that revenue. So we are in good shape going forward. There's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride for the next couple of years, but we've known that and we've planned for it, and there are some reserves set aside to help cushion it. But there's another factor that's going to impact our budget, and we won't really know the full impact of that until the spring, which is going to make it a difficult challenge, and that's the state's budget fiscal crisis that they're in.
Which brings up a subject.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Hold on. Here we go. Regionalization. Now, let me cite, if I may, the extreme example that I'm familiar with of regionalization. When I was a child back in Indiana, and on a rare occasion as a treat, would go to Indianapolis, it was phenomenal. There's Memorial Circle there. There's a war memorial. There was a private club there. All these buildings, it was like Europe, had arched surfaces. Then, many years later, because I didn't stay there, but we went through it. It was like Poland after the war. It was awful. I mean, everything within a couple blocks of that was like empty, no activity, and it was distressing. Many years later, I went back, not because of this, but after the mayor of Indianapolis lobbied and Marion County became Indianapolis. And now Indianapolis is the #1 city for the B-level corporations next to the giants. There are street cafes. It's like Soho. It's like New York. The Circle is back. Everything has blossomed out from it. So, the current mayor of Hartford,
Yes.
I noticed he was in, Rocky Hill.
Yes.
Then he's going to Glastonbury.
He's coming to Simsbury at some
I
point
was
as well.
going to
Yes.
ask. Okay. Now, when he comes, because this is the one stink I think most people have with it, and it's my only hang-up about doing it. He's absolutely right. I mean, Hartford, back in the 80s, woo-hoo-hoo, it was great. I mean, it was great. You know, and now, part of its problem, such a small geographic area, and a lot of the development that had been attempted was resisted because it felt there needed to be finance things like affordable housing and all, which I don't dispute. But the fact is, when you have a very limited geographic area, you can only pack so much in there that will generate revenues. And all of us who live around Hartford, while we may not want to accept it, as Hartford goes, so go we, eventually. But a lot of people disagree with how Hartford is managed, and it's gone from one extreme to another through the years. So in my mind, if you're going to regionalize, it should also include representation. And to me, in the purest version of that would be Hartford County becomes Hartford. And then we could all put up or shut up. We either get in and solve the problems and prosper, or otherwise we're part of the problem. So, Lisa, what do you think?
Well, I think there are some tough issues facing Hartford. I do think as the cities go, so go our states. So we do need to help address some of the problems there. And one of the problems with Hartford is that more than 50% of their grand list is not taxable. So
Right.
it's state building. So and they have much greater needs than some of the suburban towns. So that's just structurally, it's not a good design. So that said, and there are all levels of regionalization, and I just don't want to give the impression that we're not regionalizing. We are doing that, and we do it when it makes sense.
Yeah, but that's cooperative effort
Yeah.
with shared services, all of which is fine. But it does not get the people who are agreeing to that involved in solving the base problems. We have no representation in doing that.
Well, there is some of that. I would differ to say that it doesn't
That's
get
okay.
those
You
people
can differ.
involved because I'm on a number of committees and we're working with the
Yeah, but
mayor.
you don't
and
create legislation in the city of Hartford?
No. But we certainly support and recommend things, and we're happy to work towards solutions. I mean, one of the things CCM and COST are probably going to be recommending, or CROG, is full funding of state pilot, and that it will help the cities. All right. So
Okay,
we won't go into tax.
So when the mayor comes, should we, like in our different camps, all show up with signs? And when is he coming? And where is he going to be? And will it be in a big venue?
It will be in a big venue, so
Like the gym at the high school, or
or maybe the library, the program
not a
room.
big venue.
Well, that holds 200
There are
people,
gonna be
Jerry.
thousands of people.
If we think it's going to
stomping.
be 1,000, we'll do it somewhere bigger. But he's working with our office to come up with a date that works.
And when will this be?
I'm anticipating hopefully in January or February.
Okay. Well, I want to know when this is because I want to talk
Okay.
to him before he gets here. And
Maybe we'll have him on this show, Jer.
wouldn't that be wonderful?
That would be wonderful.
Not exciting as today's guest, but nevertheless.
Let's turn to that.
No, let's not, because I have one more issue.
right,
and
one
I'm
more
going to take
issue.
about 5 minutes.
Yes?
The election,
Yes?
not the national,
Yes?
our local one.
Yes.
Everything recommended by the Charter Review Commission passed.
That's true.
One of those was that the first selectman no longer be the town manager.
This is true.
That really distresses me. So while nobody's interested in my opinion except me, I was very, very disappointed when the vote went the other way, because I'm not one of the old families, but I've been here long enough and have friends in enough of the surrounding towns to know, for good and bad, dynamics of community, Simsbury has been differentiated from those with town managers as a community. And that's not how my friends from other towns view their towns. It's like, oh, a company is in charge, and then we'll vote. And then that's a move separate from whether or not the person who's administering it, there's, oh, was it administered correctly, or were the directions wrong? So there's no direct input on that. So personally, I was very disappointed in it. And you may not be comfortable or not be able to share when the Board of Selectmen sat down with the committee that made the recommendations. What really puzzles me, and these are two people that I interviewed for a good amount of time, right on the show over the years, two of the former first selectmen voting to go to a town manager. Now, straighten me out on this, because I tend to start with black and white, positive, negative. So in my mind, what are the motivations for that? One, an honest feeling, oh my God, I tried my best, but a town manager could have done so much better job. It really should have been a town manager. On the other hand is, well, I certainly was very capable, and no town manager could have done better, but nobody's going to come up as qualified as I to do that whole job.
Oh, I don't know that.
Well, that's what I'm offering. I mean, to me, that's where I start. And then it's like, I would like to have been sitting there to hear what those two people said and how they supported their recommendation to go to a town manager. Want to share any of that?
Well, I can't speak for them other than to say that they were taped on SCTV, so you can actually watch their comments.
Oh, my word. Is that going to rerun, I wonder? Oh, I bet it could be on streaming video. So if I went to the station's website and looked up, what, Karen? Charter Revision Committee. I can hear their comments directly.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. You're off the hook. Never mind.
So we are starting. It doesn't take effect until next December, so we'll start doing some of
It's going to cost us more money.
Well, we'll look into that.
We're going to have a figurehead. Are you going to run as figurehead after
I haven't made any
2017?
decisions.
Why would you do that for a third of the money with all the pain and have
what
no ability to
about
really
our guest,
control
Jer?
this? How about our guest?
How about our guest?
Our guest, Mr. Bill Rice, a very nice guy. He's not from Simsbury. Bill, join us.
No, and not only that, he's chairman of our planning commission.
Well, not only that. I mean, first of all, he's a person.
He is.
Bill Rice.
Hello, Jerry.
And he's also a thing. Chairman of the Planning Commission, which is very important in this town.
Especially right now.
Especially right now. And Bill, how long have you been that important?
For as the chairman of the Planning Commission?
Yes.
About 3 years.
3 years.
Prior to that, I was on the Planning Commission for 4
Oh my
years.
God, like you're a volunteer. You're
we all
elected.
are. You
aren't paid.
No.
You're not a staff member.
No.
Oh
we
my
are all
word.
volunteers.
Turn around. I want to see the target on your back. Well, scoot over a little closer to
Okay.
our queen here and tell me a bit about how you view the responsibilities of your committee.
Well, our commission, as you said, is a volunteer commission. We're comprised of...
Oh, wait, but then you are from Simsbury because you're elected.
Oh, no, no.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a Simsbury resident. I have been for 25 years.
And why are you so nice?
I think most of us are.
Well, not as effusively as you are.
Well,
But,
thank
yeah,
you.
we all, underneath, we're saps and suckers and very warm. We just don't say hello in the street. Okay, so
So our commission, as defined by the town charter, is comprised of 9 members, and they're all elected and volunteers. 6 are elected as regular full-time members, and 3 are designated as alternates.
I've been to your meetings, but there was a woman chairing it. Have you had an operation?
No, I haven't.
What was that one I was at?
I don't know.
It was about the Betty Hudson property, among other things.
Well, I chaired that committee. That was open
No,
space.
not you. The guy who's very environmentalist.
Conservation Commission.
Conservation.
Yeah.
Okay, I was at the wrong meeting. Sorry.
But you're welcome to come to ours.
You know what?
The next one is tonight.
You may be very sorry for that invitation. Okay, well, bring us up to date. What have you concluded? Because you navigate our future.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Our commission is chartered to help guide the development of the town throughout the future.
Define
Okay?
for me the difference between help and dictate.
Well, it's pretty simple in this case because I have this document, which is called the Plan of Conservation and Development.
Which developed how?
This was prepared in 2007 from a previous group of planning commissioners, and it's a document that is required by state law.
Okay, and the resource, the input for that was from,
The commissioners and the public.
like, through the charters? Or not the charters, help me out, what were they called?
Oh, charrettes.
Charrettes?
Charrettes, yeah.
I don't know if charrettes were done specifically for the last POCD,
Okay.
but a series of public
POCD.
Plan of Conservation and Development.
Okay, great.
It's a little faster to say that way.
Yeah, right.
So it was done, last updated in 2007, and the state statute requires that it be reviewed within 10 years. So now, that would make 2017 be our deadline, and we're ahead of the curve a little bit. We started our process in September. We had a public meeting and a workshop on November 3rd.
Actually, it was wonderful.
I know, I missed it.
Well,
I bet it was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Why did you call me, Bill?
Well, I didn't know you were that
But
interested, Jerry.
SCTV taped it, so you can watch it.
We can watch that on the SCTV streaming video website.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now there's a series of what we're calling listening sessions that are going to occur. And
Is
this,
tonight one of those?
it is.
Okay.
And it's at Henry James Cafeteria. So today is
Good-sized venue.
December 13th. Yeah. And all the boards and commissions in town were invited to either give written, not testimony, but comments, and also have someone appear in person during the listening session. And that's going to be run by our consultant, a gentleman named Glenn Chalder.
What's his background?
He's the principal in a company called Planometrics, whose sole activities are assisting municipalities with rewriting regulations, whether it be zoning or planning. Oh, it's very
What an
interesting
exciting
stuff.
job he has.
And actually, it is.
Well,
That's super important.
The impact, because here's a basic question. Being naive about this, one of the concerns I have is about what becomes the future character of Simsbury and what do we preserve and what is reasonable to preserve, or do we need to get a little more realistic about what lies ahead? So, for example, we have a large amount of land that is set aside as conservation or property of the city as open space, and we have very little land where additional building that would produce revenue, commercial building, can occur. Now, I would imagine that's been a subject of discussion and a lot of input on both sides. Can you
Well,
summarize that?
I think you just did.
Thank you.
There are primarily the loudest voice that we hear from the residents is preserve the character of the town.
This is from all of the people who come here so their kids can go to school, and as soon as their kids graduate, move out.
Well, no, actually, it's really the feedback that we get from a lot of our seniors, the
You mean
people
like
that
me.
Like you.
could be.
I want the town to be affordable.
That's another common theme that we do here.
Okay, well, here's a suggestion. And actually, Lisa told me she's heard this one before.
Uh-oh.
Well, you can correct me if you didn't say that. Because I just shared with her, I stopped at the Planning and Zoning Commission today. I'm one of those old people. We've been here for a number of years. We initially built a house, later lost that to bankruptcy, rented 2 houses, then bought a house, then bought another house, much bigger than we need, great house. I like Simsbury. So what I would like to do is build an accessible home of not tiny house size, but of moderate, not flashy size. And I would like that to be on an affordable piece of property. So I'm thinking about all these hunks that stick around on cul-de-sacs and back lots that have previously been designated as open space that get run down, represent health hazards if anybody goes out and a tree limb falls on them, and the town has expenses to maintain them. Why don't we make them available for old people at a very reasonable price to build modest homes, like Frank Lloyd Wright's Unisonian houses? What do you think, Bill?
I think that's something that we can certainly consider. Yeah, we're not making
my
any
God,
decisions
he
right
is
now.
from Simsbury. Did you hear him sidestep that?
No.
That's something we can consider. Look, he's getting red in the face.
No, it's
he
something-
knows he did.
Well, it's something they are
You
considering. They
never
do
blush,
consider
by
it.
the way. You do give me looks like
I do give you
to
looks.
kill, but you don't blush. Okay, so Bill, we should consider. You mean nobody's ever suggested that before? I thought we were trying to unload those. Nobody's mentioned that? Bill, we're trying to unload those. They are
Well-
an unnecessary expense to the town.
Yeah, Jerry, I'm familiar with the situation with the town-owned open spaces, and I'm
Okay,
not sure.
What do you
it's-
see it being, the position of the town on open spaces?
Well, most people like it, and we know that because they voted for it.
I don't believe I asked you. I think I asked Bill.
Yeah, most people
You
like
agree
it.
with Lisa?
You should know, Bill and I sit together on the Open Space Committee. The Open Space Committee is made up of the chair of planning, zoning, the first selectman, and
Oh,
at-large,
which
and
reminds me of another
conservation.
question. Didn't you like crunch and roll over the design board or something and totally emasculated them, and now they can only offer?
No, that's zoning. Zoning
I thought
appoints
you were
planning.
planning and zoning.
No,
No,
we
no,
have
no.
separate
Oh my
commissions.
God! So how many commissions are there that have to do with our future? And
Well, they're our main planning
well,
committee.
then that's what I said. So you rolled over and subordinated the other.
No,
committee.
no, they weren't involved in that.
Well, who do those people give input to now? I
To
know they all
zoning.
left because they were so
To,
insulted.
to zoning.
To zoning.
Yeah.
And how do you relate to zoning? I mean, you get along, you have parties together.
Wouldn't say that, but
No.
we do act in a referral capacity.
Who
There-
refers to whom?
Well, the zoning commission could refer an application to the planning commission for consideration with adherence to the plan of conservation and development.
Wasn't there okay, now wait a minute. Conservation and Development and Planning and Zoning, 2 separate commissions.
Well, planning is one commission and zoning
Zoning
is
is another,
Yes.
and
And then design review is appointed by zoning, and they report to zoning.
well, why don't we just have one big fat one and Bill head up the whole thing? He seems like a very reasonable, democratic kind of guy with a good mind.
He's actually a very
Why
good
wasn't that
commissioner.
on the charter revision?
It was a proposal, and the charter revision rejected it.
No wonder businesses find it frustrating to try to come here. I thought we started years back to clear this up.
Well, Jerry, I don't think that's fair. All our planning
I'm not
commissions have
concerned about
worked.
being fair. I'm just raising issues.
But they actually, our commissions work very well together and have tried to expedite the approval process because they understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Okay. So what have you worked to expedite as far as development when it seems like a large part of your job is to preserve conservation as it is?
Well, our job is to ensure that any development that's proposed is consistent with the plan.
I know, but then one comes up and the plan gets altered to be more restrictive than it was before. See the 3 Lisa just wrote this down because she thinks I'm an old person and that I did not see that the manager of SCTV raised 3 of her fingers to say there are 3 minutes left.
And now there are 2.
Old people unite. Okay, so
Well, Jerry, a lot of the comments that I get from residents revolves around the large number of apartments that have recently been approved in
I
town.
guess.
Okay?
We're going to draw all the young people, though, and then we're going to have clubs and generate a lot more money in a happening place.
And they'll pay taxes so the town can afford to subsidize your little piece of heaven at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Subsidize. I'm going to pay money for it. I'm going to pay money. It's sitting there costing money. I'm going to pay money.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the Planning Commission has 2 roles.
I'm not going to pay $150,000. Why don't we start at about $15,000? See if we can talk, Bill.
Well,
Small. It doesn't have to be an acre even.
No negotiations
Quarter
today.
of an acre.
the Planning Commission has two roles. First, we have a legislative role where we do administer the subdivision regulations, and these are binding laws.
Boy, do we have a stinky one going on Climax Road, eh?
And that one actually doesn't fall under our subdivision regulations. That is an application using a state regulation.
It used to, though, till they changed the proposal. Now that has affordable housing in it.
First, there was workforce housing overlay zone. That's correct, which is a zoning regulation. And as you probably remember, that was denied. Okay. Then the developer changed their approach, and now they're using a Connecticut statute,
Listen,
I know, 1.
which allows a developer to increase the density of homes on a given piece of property
Right.
compared to what it would be with the normal zoning.
and it's NIMBY. Not in my backyard.
Well, it's going through the process, so we, as town officials, can't comment on it right now.
I know,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, well, once the lawsuit is settled, then perhaps we could talk about how we felt about it. Well, you have really run on, and now we've run out of time, Bill. It's a real pleasure meeting you.
Nice
And
meeting you too,
As a
Jerry.
volunteer, I think that's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And most people who volunteer to come here say they'll never do it again.
Oh, I'd come
So-
back next month.
Fantastic! You and the mayor together. The mayor of Hartford, I mean. Lisa, thank you very much. And
pleasure.
thank all of you. And hopefully we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.